Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rescue Owners Live. My name is Kirk. I am your host, and we are coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. This is an awesome episode. Man, this is like right in the way here. So I'm excited because today we're going to be talking about a question that I've been asked multiple times. And that question is, hey, what is a capability statement? Now, before we, jump into that, I'm wondering what's going on with the camera. You know what's going on? Let's try to unplug and replug. Boom. Nothing. Okay. Can you try like unplugging on those real quick? Let's see if that works. So we do have Beth with us live, and it's only showing my camera from my computer instead of our actual camera on the studios. So this should be fun to try to squeeze in here if this camera doesn't work, but it's all good. So listen, hey, before we get into capability statements, I do want to know where you are calling in from, where you're tuning in from. So go ahead and throw in the chat where you are listening to Rescue Owners Live. Are you in the United States? Are you in another country? Let us know. Last week we had the Philippines was there. We had a lot of people joining us. So super excited about the reach that we have at Rescue Owners Live. And my goal is to basically help you build your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. And so what better way to do that than to help you get known, break out of obscurity. And, obscurity is the number one problem that you have as a business owner today. People don't know who you are, what you do, or why you do it. So a capability statement is going to be one of those things that does just that, tells who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And so I'm going to try this camera thing one more time, see what's going on here. Why do you think that's going on like that?
I have no idea.
You have no idea? Okay.
Just gonna need to play with it off.
Okay. Well, do we want to?
Sure.
Do you want to jump in, or do you just want me to?
Yeah, I can.
Let's see what we can do here.
Very weird camera angle.
This is kind of a weird camera angle. Wow.
Yeah, I can maybe just be an offstage presence.
You want to be an offstage presence? That'd be better.
You can just hear me, you won't see me.
Presence. I like that. You're like, I'll just be an offstage presence. That's cool.
I'll make comments.
You'll make comments. I like it. If you can figure out I wonder if we can. You want to try to do it in your computer and see if that? No, that's all good. So for those of you who don't know, this week we had the opportunity to listen to Grant Cardone at 10X Owners Live. 10X Growth Con. Man, I'm getting all my titles confused. So 10X Growth Con was this weekend in Florida. And if you don't know who Grant Cardone is, Grant is super huge into real estate. He's super huge in sales. I'm wearing the 10X hat, as you can see, pretty much every episode. I'm one of his licensees, and we get to help consult businesses using his material, which is super exciting. He's been doing this for 30 years, and he has some incredible speakers like Donald Trump.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Absolutely. At the same time, honestly, bringing on, which is so silly, but a president of the United States, which should in and of itself, like, just sort of supersede any like personal opinions on like politics and all of that. That's just awesome. He was able to get a president to come to his event. But that actually led to a lot more trouble on his part, because that led to people just backing out of the event.
Literally 3 of his speakers said that, ooh, you brought Donald Trump to your stage as a speaker. I'm going to back out of my contract to speak as a speaker at your event because I think it might hurt my brand. That's the kind of, repercussions that came about, regardless of what your politics are, regardless of, what you like or don't like about Donald Trump. That guy is a business owner.
We just got a surprise face. Yeah. And it's true. No, that blew my mind that, that was such a big issue for people. And on top of that, which he made clear throughout the event and probably to the other speakers who didn't come, he invited the other side too. Absolutely. So there was another president that was invited on the Democratic side, that turned down the opportunity to come speak. So it wasn't like, oh, I just invited a Republican or I just invited a Democrat. He invited both sides. So it wasn't even a political thing at that point. It's getting a president there to be able to listen to a former president be able to give you knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, like regardless of the fact that the president, a former president came and spoke at his events, what was really impactful was the fact that he's a business owner first.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was his first and foremost. He's a business owner, and this whole conference was for business owners. And so he was bringing him on stage to like really show everyone in the audience an example of what's possible as a business owner here in the United States. And, what a great example. Again, doesn't matter what you think about him as far as your personal politics. You can't argue the fact that he has been successful in his own right. And he told some really cool stories. So he was one of the major keynote speakers. I'm trying to remember who all was there. Brandon Dawson, Cardin Ventures, that dude, absolutely incredible. He knows more about business than you can possibly think of.
And really something just to keep in mind too, when you're listening to people tell you about business, it's super, super, super important to listen to the quality of the advice being given over necessarily critiquing the person in of themselves. Obviously, there's some people that you just don't want to follow necessarily because of like overall poor choices of how to conduct themselves on a personal and professional manner. But that being said, you're not going to agree with everything from everyone. And so it's super, super important. Hey, you can see me too. Super important to just take into the fact that like you need to be listening to people and figuring out what they have to offer that can be beneficial to you on a business level. And sometimes to a certain extent, set aside some of the things you might not 100% agree with on a personal level, because there's still so much that can be gained from what they've done and the places that they've gotten to and the things that they've achieved.
Look at Barack Obama, probably one of the best orators out there right now. He is super impressive. Like his stage presence, his confidence, his way with the words. He just draws you in when he speaks. Like there's truly, if you look at the greats, and I would classify pretty much, with the exception of maybe a few, pretty much every president.
I would say on the whole,
as a very impressive leader. Who has, been able to, get at least half the country to be a part, which is truly amazing to me too. Because one thing that was said, I think Grant mentioned this, was, in order to become a president, you have to have half the country hate you. I was like, that's interesting. Because the opposite side is that, yes, you have to have at least half the country like you, right?
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. Like, you're not going to please everybody. Mm-hmm. And how does this apply to business? Great question. A product for everyone is a product for no one. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to get you to realize here is, hey, there is an opportunity for you to really focus in on what you're providing, what your vision, your mission, your core values are going to be completely different than anyone else on this planet. Because if you are so broad, guess what? There's only one Amazon out there. That's an example of a very broad company.
Very broad.
I would say Walmart might be another broad. They're in the retail space technically, and that's a specific industry. But as far as like the amount of products that they offer, they don't really dive into services. I think Amazon's getting to services, pharmaceuticals, like they're literally getting into everything. Yeah. So Amazon's probably the only, example.
But for example, like say you're a software system. What works really well for small business is probably not going to be optimal for a large corporation, and vice versa. So you really have to focus in on what you're providing for your customer. Like, for example, there's different softwares for landscapers that's going to be optimized specifically for landscapers. If you try to take that and utilize it for selling flowers, it's not going to be helpful. Like at a boutique shop, for weddings. So there's different things that really, the more specific that you can get, it's sort of like, honestly, like when you're back in school and they would be like, you can't get too specific on your topic. You can't get too niched for this paper to be amazing. The more you niche, the better it's going to be. And it can be very similar with products. because you feel like you're super niche, but maybe you're not as much as you think you are. So it's really important just to dial in on who your client is, what exactly that looks like, get into the nitty-gritty details, and that's going to allow you to have a top line product.
And we'll dive into the capability statement, and because this really overlaps. I do want to share with you guys a few of my takeaways. My personal notes, I took literally almost a whole notebook of notes. So I'll just kind of skim through and let you know some of the things that really stuck out to me. Those who hate on me, my business, aren't busy enough. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not sure if you've experienced this or not, but we have, if you check out our social media, if you check out, anything like that, you'll see a few people that are absolute haters. And I'm sitting there going like, man, like at first it kind of bothered me, right? I was like, man, why are these people, hating on what I'm doing? I'm trying to create a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. This is a great vision. We got an awesome mission and, core values, and we're trying to attract and align other people to be a part of that vision. I just, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why it is that people would hate on that. And then when Grant said, those who hate on you, and I always like write it as if it's, for me. So those who hate on me aren't busy enough. I was like, drop the mic. Like it was like a complete, moment of clarity. I'm like, wow, that person, that group, that, whoever is hating on me truly has nothing better to do with their time than to hate on me.
Well, and as a business owner, you can take those negative comments and look at them, see what value there might be, sort of honestly like personal criticism. Take it, look at it, see what value there is to pull from it, what things still could potentially be improved. And, once you've optimized that or seen that there's truly nothing there that's of value, then you forget it and you move forward, and you don't allow that to become something that's like a burr under your saddle that you ride, 100 miles with. Take it, fix anything that needs to be fixed, and then let go of the rest and move forward. And don't let that be something that affects you long-termly when it doesn't need to. If there's nothing of validity to it, then, let bygones be bygones and move forward.
Another note that I wrote down: dominate, don't compete. Now, this is something I've heard specifically when I was playing high school basketball. I'm 6'6". I'm a tall dude. I love basketball. I still play today. I love it. I dunked for the first time this year. I've dunked previously, but for the first time this year, like a couple weeks back at a pickleball game, it was great. That was so much fun. And like all the guys are like, whoa, right? And I'm like, head's getting big. I'm patting myself on the back. It's great. But dominate, don't compete. So dominating, this is really cool. It says, I was homeschooled growing up, and I played for a travel basketball team. We couldn't play public schools in the state of Georgia because of laws, but we could travel all up and down the East Coast and hit some pretty amazing tournaments and incredible competition. We won the East Coast Nationals, all the things, right? So as a JV basketball team, okay, so this is freshmen and sophomores. Like, just to kind of give you an idea of how good our team was, we entered a varsity, so juniors and seniors tournament, and I think we placed third. I mean, and the only reason we didn't go to the final round was because of a technical call. And again, this comes down to like, hey, never let the refs determine the outcome, right? Mm-hmm. And which is a whole nother, if you're taking notes tonight, I hope you are. This is some cool, correspondence with business. I mean, never let in business someone else determine the outcome. Never let it get so close that something out of your control determines the outcome of what you're going towards. All right. So, and the idea of dominating, not competing, is you need to be so above and beyond dominating in your industry, whether it's, I say industry, ideally it's your industry, but you want to dominate your, first and foremost, your health, yourself. Mm-hmm. You want to dominate your household. And when I say dominate, I mean, like, I don't think of like it negatively. I mean, like, think of it as a positive word. You want to, really take control of your health, your household, as far as, getting everyone in alignment on the same page, your business, If you have a team, you want to get your team on board. You want to dominate the team. You want to dominate your your geographical area, and then you just literally start with yourself, and you just work your way out until you get global.
Well, and it's like when you're competing, say in something where you have like lanes of people beside each other, where it's like swimming or CrossFit or whatever. The person who's keeps looking to the side to see what that person's doing and where they are versus them. I'm not saying that's always a bad thing, but when you're like really pushing hard, you're going to do a lot more if you stay focused on where you are, keeping moving, keeping doing your best, than if you're constantly going, oh, where is he? Where is he? Oh, he's 2 reps. Okay. He's 5 meters ahead. Same thing with your business. You shouldn't be so concerned with looking at what all the other businesses around you are doing, because you should be constantly like pushing to get yourself better and better, do better for your clients, to the point where it's not even a question of whether they're going to pick you or someone else.
Yeah.
Because you're just that much better. And even in a sense, honestly, of creativity as a business, because if you're so focused on looking at what everyone else around you is doing, I would argue that it's going to stifle your ability to step out and do things that no one else is doing, because you're so conscious of what the rest of the industry is working on and maybe making that better or faster, versus going out of left field and doing something no one's doing that just rocks the industry.
Yeah, like I was able to bring an idea from another industry into the industry I'm in and completely revolutionize, if you would, an idea that has never been brought to that particular industry. Because when you go to business conferences, when you go talk to other people, that's where creative juices start flowing, right? I mean, you're able to see what people are doing in the oil industry, the real estate industry, all these freight, and like all these industries, retail, and you're able to be like, wow, I wonder what would happen if I applied this idea from real estate into medical device sales. And pretty soon you're like, wow, that was an incredible idea. No one else was thinking about it. Guess what? You could have been the person who brought that to market if you invest in yourself by going to other conferences, meeting other people. And collaboration is the new currency, people. That is the whole point I'm trying to drive in on. The next point is seeing it done is better than hearing it said. So tonight, I love that. Tonight, I do want to, let's see if I have, I'm going to flash it on the screen here. This is the capability statement that we created for our company. So I want to show it to you, right? Because, seeing it done, and we're going to show you how to do it, is better than just hearing it said. So that's another reason why we have this is a live show, is because we love to be able to show you the visuals. We love to be in here in person with you guys. If you have any questions, by the way, throw them in the chat. We love answering questions throughout the night. Now, this is great. If I am broken, how can I take care of others? Okay. And this goes back to investing in yourself and taking time for yourself, specifically your physical and mental, your spiritual, all who you are first. Because if Beth, my wife, is struggling with something and I'm also struggling with something, I mean, two people that are hurting can't, help each other. I need to first fix myself before I can help Beth, and vice versa, right? Like there are things that Beth might be able to help me with that, that I can't help myself, and I need her. And so it's which is the beauty of a relationship, right? Same thing if you have kids, especially. It's like, okay, how can you lead your family if you yourself are jacked up? And so make sure to take time and focus on yourself. Make a decision that, that you need to invest in yourself first. And when you have your health right, your mindset right, your spiritual right, when you have all the things right, then you can be in a position to help someone else who needs assistance in those areas. Because when people look at you, like, what's the first thing that they see? Are you fat? Are you healthy? I mean, these are things that are going through their head. And when they see that fat person, they're like, man, this guy or gal doesn't have their health together. That is an immediate thing that they see, and they judge specifically based off of how you look. And then if you can't talk or string words together, guess what? This person can't talk. I mean, people make an instant
there's very quick judgments
on who you are based off your appearance, based off how you carry yourself, based off how you talk, a whole host of things. And those are things that you can navigate and present how you want to. Guess what? It takes time in the gym. It takes time resting and recovering. It takes time going to the store, prepping food, and eating properly. Like, you got to make sure you have your health together, because to the extent you take your body seriously, you'll take your business seriously. And I truly believe that. Let's see. That was Grant's opening. Brandon Dawson spoke. Let's see. He talked about the need to transform your sales strategy, your attention strategy, and your scaling strategy. I'm not going to go into a huge detail of what all that means, but your sales is obviously, your actual reaching out to people, your sales, your sales training, your sales scripts, your sales process, your sales systems, your sales cycle. All that. If you don't know
having that,
if you don't even know what those are, by the way, reach out to us. Yeah. Contact us, support@rescuesiteservices.com. We would love to help, set you up with those things. Attention. How do you get attention? Right? I mean, we do Rescue Owners Live once a week, every single week. It's a consistent play. All right. We want to make sure that you know that, hey, every Tuesday from 7 to 8, Kirk and Beth, or Kirk and a special guest is going to be on, spit knowledge on how you can grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. And then, of course, scaling. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Brandon talked about $10 trillion wealth transfer in the next few years.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's trillion with a T.
Huge.
So you have all the baby boomers that are ready to get out of business and retire. Guess what? There's a huge, massive opportunity to
grow your business
and merge, acquisition, all those words, another business that can help you out and grow yours. I mean,
but guess what? Like, if you don't have those processes in place, that's going to be extremely messy.
Yeah,
extremely messy when you try to merge two businesses. If you don't have a clear process of how you're going to handle things and be able to integrate them into your process.
And what happens is, like, you have these people who are like, oh, I've done $5 million every year for the past 20 years. And they got stuck because they didn't know how to scale. They didn't know how to grow with the processes and procedures and systems. And guess what? For the person who knows how to do those things, could come in and purchase a business that's only doing $5 million and make a few little tweaks and absolutely blow it out of the water.
Because you have the foundation there. They've done a fabulous job building their business, but when they hit a certain break point, they weren't able to push past that because they didn't have the knowledge of how to. And so if you've acquired the skills to know how to actually push past that break point, they're handing you a gold mine that's just been untapped.
Those who don't know you can't flow you. Best known beats best, period. Okay? So I want you to think about that. Best known beats best. There can be a superior quality product out there that you have no idea exists.
I've had so many people tell me, like, oh, either I have a product that's better than this, mainstream one in the market that everyone buys, or I have an idea of, oh, I could make that product 10 times better. But they don't either have, the action behind it to turn that into a real product, or they have the product, but they don't have either the ability or the knowledge or the skills to actually properly promote that product so that it can become wide known. I know, for example, there's a small sugar company, not sugar like for your food, but like wax and sugar, that they started really small, just social media and things like that. And they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? When you do something with intention, they're very intentionally working to build their reach through applying and partnering with large companies. Like, I don't think it's Bed Bath & Beyond, but like a company like that, where they're getting their their product in those companies will then be incentivized to promote their product, and suddenly they're going to have that wide reach they need in order to have people realize they're the better product.
I love that. Brandon Dawson also talked about the breakpoints, and I kind of just briefly want to go over those. So between there's several breakpoints. I mean, you can go all up to the billions of dollars, but the first few breakpoints. Breakpoint 1 is between $100,000 and $3 million. This is your startup phase where you focus on the what you are doing. Breakpoint 2 is between $3 million and $8 million. This is your process creation, okay? And this is where you focus on the who you're doing it with. Then goes the $8 million to $15 million, which is your core leadership group. Focus on who you're bringing in there. But now you're focused more on the how you're getting it done. And then the next break point is the 15 to 25 million. Now we're into the automated systems. So we're back to the who. And then we jump to the 25 to $45 million break point. This is your executive leadership team. And it's very interesting. So this is kind of something that hit me when Brandon Dawson mentioned this. He didn't call himself a CEO until he hit $50 million of revenue. Why? Because he didn't earn the title CEO, because a chief executive officer, there's certain connotations that come with that word. And that is having at least a $50 million business and having an executive team. Okay. If you're a CEO of no one, you're not a CEO. Right? There are 31.5 million small to mid-sized businesses out there. There's 25 million of those are single owner of businesses. And they're, a vast majority of them are calling themselves CEOs. They're not a CEO. Cut and dry. And so and it's funny because I called myself a CEO too, right? Because I was like, oh, I own a business. I'm the CEO, blah, blah, blah. And then when he said that, I'm like, boom, I'm not a CEO. I don't have a full executive team. I'm not doing $50 million of sales yet. Notice I said yet. And so I took that off as many. If you find CEO anywhere of me out there, let me know. I'll correct it immediately, because I changed that to founder. And I think that really, encompasses who I am. I'm a founder. I'm an entrepreneur and business strategist. That is who I am branding myself as right now until I hit that $50 million mark. And then, hey, guess what? I'm a CEO, an entrepreneur, a business strategist, right? But until I hit that $50 million, I haven't earned that. And then the next goes to 45 million to 75 million. That's the next break point, which is integrated technologies. And then you got 75 million to 125 million, which is, platform. So listen, these are the first few break points when it comes to business. And I know a lot of you are like, wow, dude, I haven't even broken $100,000. Guess what? You need to start thinking bigger, because if your vision, if you believe what you're doing, your product, your service is solving a problem, then you need to absolutely blow it up. Because if you believe that people are better with your product or service than without it, there's no reason you shouldn't be making hundreds of phone calls a day. There's no reason that you shouldn't be closing and following up and being in front of as many people as possible, so that you can get past breakpoint 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on to the hundreds of millions of dollars.
And if you do it right, I know a lot of the small businesses that I talk to, they're like, well, we grew and then it just got, difficult to manage, or became too much work, or just wasn't worth it. So we came back down to a small team, or I came back down to just doing it myself because it's easier than working with other people. And that's where it's so important to know how to do it properly, because it doesn't have to be as challenging as I think it is for most small businesses when they start adding people on, because a lot of times they don't have a set protocol, they don't have a set process, they just sort of throw people into jobs and just throw them at tasks. And I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of small businesses don't want to get bigger. They literally fight that when they have it. They're like, well, I could have more business, or I have more clients calling me than I can service. But you're like, okay, well, that's fabulous. Then, well, you could raise your prices, or, hire another team, hire another, salesperson, hire another, implementation person. They're like, no, I really just don't want to deal with more clients. And that tells me that they don't have things set in place properly for
The
things to be
processes.
handled. And I mean, even think about it. And, hopefully I won't turn too many people off of like a biblical reference, but it's like when Moses was dealing with the Israelites and his father-in-law came and was like, you're literally trying to handle everyone's problems personally. He's like, you don't need to do that. You shouldn't do that. It's not good for you or them. You should have people underneath you, just like in a company. You should have people in positions of authority over groups of other people that you have, maybe 5 people going to one person versus all 20 of your employees coming to you with all their problems. And it should be a chain where this person talks to this person. If that person still can't handle it, then they go to the next person, so on and so forth. So that when you actually have issues coming to you, they're truly issues of a caliber that need to be dealt with by only you.
Think of like the Supreme Court, right? I mean, you're going to start at like the local level, then the state, then the federal, and then you're going to work up the Circuit Court of Appeals, and then finally to the Supreme Court. Like there's a process because they're not going to waste their time as a Supreme Court justice or judge rather to actually deal with a small claims court decision, right? That's just not it's not the best use of their time.
No, not at all.
There's a phrase that Gino Wickman, I think, is the one who coined it: delegate and elevate. I love it. If you've ever heard of Gino Wickman, check him out. Traction. He has a whole series of books. Put that on your reading list. And hey, listen, if tonight has been something so far that you've taken some notes on, you got some information on, do me a huge favor, hit that share button in the bottom right-hand corner of whatever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on all 3 platforms currently, and we're going to find ways to get on more platforms. So do me a favor, hit that share button because I guarantee someone in your network needs to hear what we're talking about tonight. Here's another big thing that really stood out to me that Brandon Dawson said. If you struggle with consistency, whether that's working out the gym, whether that's your finances, whether that is your business, making that phone calls per day, whatever that looks like, if you struggle with consistency, you don't have a big enough purpose. And wow, that hit me right here, because I know there's times where I struggle with consistency, and I know there's times where I let one area of my life slip. And what that was just a huge wake-up call. I wrote that down. I started. I'm like, my goodness, it really hit home, because I'm telling everyone all the time, hey, I got the biggest vision out there. My purpose is, creating a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. It doesn't get much bigger than that, right? The number 1 cause of death in the world. We're going to solve it. How are we going to do that, right? Like, that is huge. But if you struggle with consistency, you don't have a big enough purpose. And so maybe you do have a big purpose, but it's not at the forefront of your brain 100% of the time. So how do you fix that? I mean, you need to, and this is one thing I do every single morning and every single night. I write my goals down, and I journal throughout the day. I write down my successes as they happen. I write down quotes as I hear them. I write down, scripture verses I've read. I mean, literally things that really hit me. I write them down throughout the day as I do it. But the first thing I do when I wake up, I write down my top 5 goals. And then right before I go to bed at night, I do the exact same thing again. And that's one way. If you struggle with consistency, you don't have a big enough purpose. That's how I remind myself of my purpose.
And I think sometimes people maybe have a big enough purpose, but they get bogged down in the size of it. And so that's where the importance of what we talked about very beginning of this year, actually, the importance of breaking that down into, okay, if my goal is, to solve world hunger, okay, how am I going to do that? That's a fabulous thing, great thing, but how does that actually play out? And so you sit down and you say, okay, well, I need to solve it in this specific continent first. Okay, awesome. That's a smaller chunk. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I need to work with these groups. I need to raise this much money. I need to grow this many farms or create this many, new places where there can be community gardens, whatever the solution is. Start at that big, massive goal, that thing that is worth it, that's going to keep you consistent, and then actually go back and say, okay, smaller chunk till you can say, okay, in the next quarter, I'm going to do this thing or these couple of things. And then you can take those and go, okay, in order to actually achieve those, what do I need to do weekly? And what do I need to do of that daily? And that can give you what you can actually tangibly wake up and be able to wrap your mind around each day in order to get to that end goal versus saying, hey, I want to do this big, awesome thing. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. Like, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely enough to keep me consistent, but I have no idea what I'm being consistent with. So super important to actually, once you made that big goal, figure out how you're going to actually get there through a series of stepping back and back and back.
This re-engineering,
yeah,
the whole process. So some of the few things that former President Trump mentioned when he spoke was you have to do something you love. I was like, okay, interesting.
I was surprised by that comment a little bit.
I was definitely surprised to hear him say that. But I wrote that down as a note. Always have options. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So he went into a story about, different real estate, a specific real estate deal that he did, and how he was able to, basically structure a deal, but he was able to structure it in a way because he knew all the different options he could present. And so if this one option didn't work for, the buyer or the seller, then he could offer this, and this. So having options that you're able to maneuver is really key when it comes to business.
And I would add on to that, options, like taglining with like opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people get stuck in the idea, they're like, oh, I never get any opportunities. Opportunities come to people who are ready for them.
Yeah.
And if you're never putting yourself in a position to take advantage of opportunities, then you're never going to see them, because it'll just be, oh, that thing I couldn't do, or this, versus, okay, I put myself in a position to where when this arose, I could see it as an opportunity because I was prepared to be able to take it. And that's very similar to like having options open. If you prepare for every possible thing that could happen, option, you're making room for opportunity there.
And just to piggyback on that, like taking advantage of opportunity, how do you take advantage of an opportunity? Well, you're in the right rooms. How do you get in the right rooms? Well, you pay to play. You show up to conferences. You show up to masterminds. You show up to events. And guess what? You meet people. You exchange contact information. And that's how you do it. Because if you I would say, hey, take an audit of who you spend the most time with. And honestly, I do this every single day. So throughout the day, every 15 minutes of my day, I know what I was doing every 15 minutes, because I want to know exactly where I'm wasting time.
He does actually do
and
this.
What I'm doing.
He's like, okay, when did we left this at this exact time?
Oh yeah, and sometimes I'll text her to make sure I tag the time right. But like meetings on the phone, meetings in person, breakfast meetings, whatever, I literally document every 15 minutes from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, what exactly I do. And I do this on a daily basis. This is my time audit. And I would encourage you to do this. Hey, you don't have to do it forever.
Even just for like a day, honestly.
I would say a full week would be a good, because every day is going to be a little bit different, but a full week, you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. But if you take a time audit for a full week, you'll be able to see how much time you're wasting here, and here. How much Netflix are you watching?
Or TikTok or
Instagram, all those things. How much time, like literally, I'm writing down what I'm doing. So make sure you take the time to do that, because when you ask yourself, hey, who am I spending my time with? And you wonder why you can't take advantage of opportunities, is because you're spending time with the wrong people.
Well, and even it's important to go to events. It's important to meet new people. It's important to do things like that. But it's important to do it with intention too.
Oh, 100%.
And so,
because you can go to an event with 1,000 people and get lost in the crowd and be like, oh, that was a great experience.
Or people come back and they're like, oh, well, I spent a couple $1,000 and I didn't get anything from it. And then they're mad. But it's like, okay, well, did you go in with intention? Did you go in saying, I want to meet 5 people in this specific industry, or I want to make this many contacts, or whatever the case may be? Going in with intention. Even sometimes I know there have been people who go in and say, I know the specific person's putting this event on, or I know the specific person's going to be there. I want to work with them. I know that we can partner in this way. And they go through even creating what they're going to say to that person and working it down to a 60-second, 2-minute quick elevator pitch of, hey, I know you. I've been interested in you. I think we could do some great things together. This is my idea.
100%.
And capitalizing on that. There are people that literally pay to go to events to meet one person, and they know who it is and they know what they're going to say, and they treat it essentially, I would say, like a what's the word I'm looking for, when you like set appointment. They treat it like an appointment with that person.
Yeah, I love
that they've paid to go to, essentially.
Last two things that really stuck out to me from Trump was, can you take it? And he was referring to the pressure of business. He says that that's the question that you're going to have to ask yourself and answer honestly, because not everyone can. He said that there's been some big sharks that I thought were tough as can be, and they got a little bit of friction and they crumbled. And he goes, it shocked me. So the people that I respected and I thought were strong crumbled. And so you need to ask yourself, hey, can I take it? The last thing is get it done. And this was the biggest thing I started, was get it done. Don't wait. And this is a practice that I do all the time. Whenever someone says, hey, are you available to do this? I'll say, yeah, absolutely. When would you like to do it? And they give me like 3 options. I always choose the earliest option. Why? Because if the worst case scenario, that option fails, I have a backup and a backup plan. Right. So like I can push the second day option or the third day option. But like for me, I just want to pull money forward. I want to pull opportunities forward by getting to that potential conversation faster. So get it done and don't wait was some of the bigger things I took from. How many people can it impact was a great question. This is back to Brandon Dawson. He spoke a couple times. If I have resistance in my life, it is my fault. If I have resistance in my life, it is my fault. It's no one else's fault but mine, because the things that I'm attracting to me are my fault.
I thought that was a really good point that he made about attraction.
Yeah.
A lot of times people, you have certain people who love the whole like what's it called? Materializing mindset. What's the word?
I think I know what you're talking about, like visualization.
Yeah, like the whole if you want to make something happen, to like visualize it and you can make it happen. There's a word for that. But anyway, Brandon Dawson. Manifestation. Thank you. That was gonna bother me.
I helped you with the word.
That was good. That was good. So a lot of times people like that, from a very passive aspect, I would argue, where they say, oh, well, I'm just manifesting, a new car, and I'm just going to think about it a lot and put some pictures around. Whereas manifesting, and Brandon Dawson talked about it some, he's like, you're manifesting things by how you talk, by how you think. For example,
here's what he said. He said, you will create the conditions you talk about.
Yes.
That was the phrase he used.
And the example he used was, if you need employees and you're struggling to find good ones, and you're walking around going, oh, there's just no good employees out there. And I'm not going to lie, like I've been
thought that.
I've said that before to people. So I've done this before, because if you're that person that's going, oh, there's no good employees out there, there's no one that's consistent, there's no one that shows up on time and does a good job, blah, blah, blah. He's like, that's the environment that you're creating. You're going to continue to receive those results if you keep talking that, because think about it. The person who's an amazing employee and who would be there consistently and do an amazing job, they're listing that and going, I don't want to work for them. I don't want to work for someone who thinks like that, who talks like that. Whereas if you walk around and you go, hey, like I am looking to hire some amazing people right now, and we have an amazing environment, and everyone is super successful and they do their job and they love it, and above and beyond, and we just have an amazing team, and I'm looking to find some amazing individuals to add. Guess what? You're a lot more likely to attract that kind of person if that's what you're putting out, then not. I mean, it doesn't even
What you
have
think
to.
is what you say. What you say is what you do becomes your legacy. And so that's the perfect example of, hey, what I am talking about. I mean, you will create the conditions you talk about. So if you're talking about how, bad the labor market is and how hard it is to find someone, it's yeah, you're right, it is. But if you talk about, man, I have an incredible environment where we inspire others, we impact other people's lives and businesses and finances. We're looking for inspirational and discipline. I just go through your core values: inspiration, discipline, accountability, transparency, alignment, results. Say we're looking for results oriented. We're looking for inspirational people. We're looking for disciplined employee. Like these are.
It's the difference of telling people what you're looking for versus telling them what you're not looking for.
Yeah.
And that's no different than the person who goes, I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to fall. And then they fall.
Yeah.
You don't focus on the thing that you're trying to avoid.
So, okay, this is another guy, Gary Brecka.
Oh, he's amazing.
Very smart dude. He is a Streamline
Medical Group, I believe.
Health, something. Anyway, he is partnered with Grant Cardone for 10X Health Systems, and it's an incredible partnership. This guy's a very smart dude. We've done some. Is it kind of
blurry? Let me see if I can fix it. Maybe.
There you go.
I looked down. I was
Has
like,
it been blurry
no.
this whole time?
I don't think so.
No.
It wasn't earlier. Let's put it that way. I don't know when it switched.
So the two biggest things, he's on the medical side of things. And so one of the things he mentioned, he said that stress is good for your body. So often people are striving for this lifestyle of comfort, and they get there and then they die. As bluntly as it can be said, stress is good. Like, we should not be encouraging grandma to sit on the porch. We should be encouraging her to go out on a walk.
Exercise is stress.
Exercise
on your body.
Absolutely. And so, like, in order for your, cells to regenerate, it requires a certain amount of stress in your body. And if you are sedentary, if you're sitting down watching TV, doing nothing with your life, guess what? Your life is going to dwindle away.
Well, you become what you do.
Yeah.
Like if you exercise, you become healthier, you become stronger. If you don't move, you quickly can't move less. Like
movie or Ollie.
Yeah. It continues it's not gonna wherever your current momentum is, it's going to continue in that direction unless you actively work to change the direction.
And one of the questions he ended on, which I recalibrated for our industry, which is, will this allow us to save more lives? And so it was basically a question for his industry, but I reworked it for my industry and my company to say, hey, this should be a question that we use to kind of filter decisions that we make. Part of our core values, we filter decisions through, hey, inspiration is number one. Will this be inspirational to myself, my family, my team, my community, my state, my country? Will this be inspirational? If the answer is no, it's an automatic no without even going through the other 5 core values. But if the answer is yes, then guess what? We're going to go to discipline. Hey, will this model discipline in the same categories? And you just kind of walk you through, and guess what? It's a simple checklist of being able to, instead of chasing shiny objects as they come up, we'll be able to go through, and then boom, the last question: will this allow us to save more lives? And then if the answer is yes, then hey, I think you have your answer for what you need to do next with that particular decision. Not sure how much that applies for this particular group here. Sales process, Tillman, for Tita, Shut Up and Listen. This guy wrote a book called Shut Up and Listen. It is a quick read. It's like 2.5 hours on Audible. If you have it on 1.5 speed, which I did, and I knocked it out, it was great. It was a lot of good information. This guy is the #1 restaurant tour in the world. And we're talking $12 billion. Okay. This guy's a huge. Cash on cash return is the most important metric. again, some of this information, this might not, be pertinent to, where this particular audience is, but this guy, look him up, read his book.
Yeah, definitely worthwhile to listen to the knowledge that he has to offer.
T.D. Jakes, America's pastor, bishop, he's a bishop. Bishop Jakes, look him up. He was one of the speakers, The Art of Communication. What you're fishing for might not be in the lake you're in.
Yeah,
that was the biggest line I heard from him. But a big thing that he talked about was communication. Hey, you need to be able to communicate what you're trying to say properly. And that's something that everyone needs to be able to do.
It's important to keep evaluating, like, okay, am I in the best place? Am I doing the best things? Am I looking for clients in the right place? Because what worked yesterday or a week ago or a month ago, the world's changing fast. And it's not always going to be applicable. What once was amazing, MySpace used to be a thing. It's not anymore. It was amazing and we loved it and it was fabulous, when it was hopping, but it's not anymore. And it had potential to have changed and grown and have stayed relevant. But unless you're constantly asking, hey, is what we're doing still the best thing to do? Then it's really easy for you to just get into a rut of, well, I wake up and I do this and our team does that. And this is how we've done it. And this is how we're always going to do it. And so it's important to constantly be asking, is this the most effective and best way to continue serving our clients, whoever they may be?
So I probably shouldn't have told everyone that we were going to be talking about capability statements because I got super excited about talking about all the notes. And that's not even half of the notes, by the way. But I do want to keep that promise in the last few minutes of Rescue Owners Live and hit the capability statement. So for those of you who don't know what a capability statement is, this is what ours looks like. And you can see that up on the screen. This is a capability statement. What is a capability statement? A capability statement is a concise one-page document of your business competencies. Think of it as your business resume, okay? Mm-hmm. Its purpose is to provide specific information that will convince potential customers to do business with you. And when written well, I can't even read my own writing. When written well, it will differentiate your business from your competition. Okay. And Beth, feel free to chime in at any point in time.
I would say it's super important. Just a few things that, we made sure we went back and added to ours outside of just the basic information of who you are, what you do. It's really important to make sure, obviously, you have contact information.
Well, you're going to kill my points here.
Well, you said to chime in.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were going to go into content. Sorry. All right. So there are a few things, right, that should be in every single capability statement. Number one is your core competencies. Number two is differentiators. Number three is past performance. 4 is company data. And 5 is contact information. So what are your core competencies? Your core competencies, this should not be everything your business is able to do, right? Use bullet points and short statements of your expertise as it relates to your target agency specific needs. Now, more times than not, a capability statement is going to be for a government agency. Mm-hmm. So there are some things that should be included in this capability statement that we purposely left out, such as NAICS. That's an acronym, NAICS. There are a specific set of codes the government uses to determine what kind of contracting that you're going to do for them.
Yeah, you might have multiple capability statements depending on who you're sending it to.
Right. At this point in time, we're not pursuing government contracts. We're pursuing private, corporate, those type of jobs. And so we made it more corporate looking and less corporate friendly and less government friendly. So there you'll see at the bottom our core competencies we put down as hardware, software, training, and maintenance. And then there's a brief description underneath that. There's, some cool little icons that kind of catch your eye. And then a brief, a couple sentences that explain what's included in each of those sections. Differentiators. List unique factors. Okay, these are your unique factors and benefits of your products or services that set you apart from the competition. How is your business best suited for the needs of the targeted agency? A clear statement that relates to the specific needs of the agency can help the customer understand why they should choose your firm. Again, if you are going for an agency such as the government, any government agency, that's what you want to focus on. But if you're like us and you're focusing specifically on a corporate office or a private group, then you don't have to, do certain things. And again, no one capability statement is perfect, by the way.
It's like a resume. Everyone's looks a little bit different.
Exactly. And so this is what I created last week for a specific client that was asking for it. And I put it up here so you have the template. We posted it online, so feel free to, take a look at it. Wow, that kind of came out a little southern. Take a look at it and let us know what you think. Give us your feedback. If you want to completely, mimic it, model it, master it, steal it, I don't care. Make it your own. Put your own colors in, your own. This is this information for you.
I'm gonna throw in there because you didn't say this. It's important also to have a call to action.
Yes. Yes.
So, for example, the email list today. Make sure you add some kind of call to action. Otherwise, it's like, oh, great information. Thanks for that.
Right. And not only the call to action, but the other thing is that we added at the top was the pain point.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll see globally 17,900,000, and we typed the whole thing out instead of 17.9 M. No, we typed the whole thing out. Globally, 17,900,000 people die from cardiovascular disease every year. Okay. That's a pretty big problem. The number one cause of death in the world. That's a massive problem. So we throw that front and center. So that's like what you see. Now, keep in mind, when people look at a resume, when people look at a one-pager, the Z, the idea of the Z. So people start in the top left-hand corner, move their way to the top right-hand corner, down to bottom left, and then back to the right. Okay, that's how their eyes work. So if you notice in top left-hand corner, we could switch this around. As far as having what the document is called, that is the first thing that they should technically see is capability statement. So now their mind is in the set of, okay, I'm about to read a capability statement. So top left is the first thing they're going to see. And then they're going to scoot over and see my logo. They're going like, oh, capability statement of who? I'm glad you asked. So then you get our specific logo with a question. Hey, are you ready to rescue? Oh my gosh, am I ready to rescue? I don't know. And then now they're going to track down like the Z formation, and they're going to see the biggest problem here with cardiovascular disease. Oh, 17.9 million. That's a lot of problem. That's a big problem. I don't know if I'm ready to rescue. And then you get to the company overview, which they'll probably skim through that. And then they'll see the capabilities at the very bottom to finish out the Z. And then when they're interested after seeing that call to action, they'll actually go up to the content of how to contact us directly. Mm-hmm. So it's very specific on how we tailored that setup. Past performance, we didn't include this, but it is something good to include. You might want to throw down some one or two short sentences of your company description, including number of employees and capacity. Also list your DUNS, your cage codes if you have it, your NAICS. I like to call them NAICS for short, NAICS. Again, these are all acronyms. And any set aside eligibility that your business holds, such as small disadvantaged businesses, all right, SDB. Women-owned small business, that's a WOSB. Let's see, 8 certification, hub zones, small disadvantaged veteran-owned small business. All these are all things that you can include, specifically if you're working for a government. That's the reason why you're creating a capability statement. The last thing is your contact information. Show contact information, including website, specific person's name. Readers will visit your website for more information. Make sure it is constantly updated and provide hot links, okay, for direct access. So list a professional email, all right? So if you have a, Captain Kirk at gmail.com, that's not a professional email. Don't do that.
Well, and we should do a segment on how to turn a
Gmail
email into a professional
Which
looking
you
one.
can for free.
Yes.
By the way, we'll have Beth, do a little segment on that maybe in a couple of weeks, because we have a special guest coming next week. So make sure you tune in. Government agencies many times block Hotmail, Yahoo, and Gmail accounts as junk mail. So just something to be aware of. Your internet provider will typically offer professional addresses with your subscription. So whether you're GoDaddy, Bluehost, whatever you're working with, they'll make sure that you have exactly what you need. But again, Beth will show you how to do it without having it. It's great. It's pretty savvy. I love it. All that to say, that concludes Rescue Owners Live. If you have any specific questions on your specific needs for a capability statement, feel free to email us at support@rescuesiteservices.com. You do not want to miss next week, because next week we are going to be having a very special guest, Emberly Lago. Check her out on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things. Emberly Lago, she's an incredible, and very inspirational, has a great story, and you're going to learn a lot from her. Until then, 10X, keep growing, and be great.
As a CPR instructor, you probably get asked how and where to buy equipment like defibrillators and first aid kits. Up to now, you've probably either shrugged off the question or told them to Google it. Don't miss opportunities like that. Instead, be the one to not only provide the knowledge of how to save a life, but also the resources to be ready to rescue. It's time to become a Rescue Site affiliate, and it's incredibly easy to do. Introducing the Rescue Site Affiliate Program, the only customizable platform with every FDA-approved defibrillator on the market, first aid equipment, and so much more. Now with the Rescue Site Affiliate Program, you can recommend products and earn commissions without having to purchase, warehouse, or ship products. When you become a Rescue Site affiliate today, you are automatically approved and will receive a customizable link to your store with your name on it. You earn commissions from all qualifying purchases through the traffic you drive to your new store. Whether you're just getting started as a CPR instructor, whether you have a team of instructors, or whether you're a training center with thousands of instructors across the country, this program is for you. Stop shrugging and start providing both the knowledge and the resources to save more lives. Become a Rescue Site affiliate today.